everyone! Welcome to the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. I am Purcell, your host. I'm here with my co-host. That's David over there. Say hi, David.
Hi, David.
And with us today is a very special guest, someone I am so excited to have on, and someone I'm actually working on with this project with, though she is helming it expertly. Candace the Magnificent, who needs no introduction, but is going to get one anyway.
Right. Thanks. Hello.
So, we're gonna do a quick rundown of what's going on this channel, and then we're gonna dive into that. Hey! What's up, Domo? So thank you all for hanging with us. As you may or may not know by now, I am Kay Purcell. I host this talk show every Tuesday. You can find me and David here every Tuesday talking about D&D right here. You can, starting tomorrow? The first 4 Wednesdays in June, come on over here and you can watch the Strixhaven Fractal Convergence series. This is a pre-recorded, edited actual play that I was fortunate enough to take part in earlier in this year. It's finally coming out. You can find it right here on Wednesday nights. It's going to be a good old time. Starting later this month, you can find me on the Emergency Power Podcast, but we got episodes to go before that happens, so we'll talk about that more later. But the other big thing that I'm working on, which is the reason, not that we need a reason to have Candace here, but the big reason to have Candace here, is the Rainbow Roll. We're going to talk about that today. So the Rainbow Roll is a Thirsty Sword Lesbians charity series benefiting the Trevor Project. I'm going to be playing in one of the sessions, but helping produce them all. Hey, Vivian! But Candace, this is your gig, so say hi, tell us a little bit of who you are. If you've watched me on Mothership, you know Candace, she's amazing. And then tell us about this this project that the three of us, not David, but another third person, but David is here helping me promote the... Yes, go. I'm going to stop talking.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Prince X, thank you for the follow.
Oh, yay.
Prince X Calamity is going to be one of our players on Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Go before I talk more.
Man, they're great. They are wonderful. Make sure that you come June 7th. That's going to be the session that they're going to be in. Please, please watch. It's going to be fantastic. So I am Candace the Magnificent, like Kay said, and I am trying to kind of help steer this ship called the Rainbow Roll, the USS Rainbow Roll, along with Kay and Todd Moonbounce over on Todd's channel
right now.
Oh, hey, speak of the devil, Todd Moonbounce. So over on Todd's channel, you can see him in the chat. We are going to be streaming a series of one-shots of actual plays of Thirsty Sword Lesbians by April Kit Walsh, which actually recently won a very prestigious Nebula Award for great sci-fi writing and fantasy writing.
Award.
I agree. They need something more heavy-hitting. They need Best TTRPG of the Year award.
Yes.
Because it's just revolutionary and awesome. I'll go into it and why I love it in a moment. But you might know me from the internet. I'm at that Candace girl on Twitter, at Candace the Magnificent on YouTube, and a host of other places, including Twitch. I am a writer by day, and I am a streamer by night. It's weird saying that. I've been streaming for a year now, about. I did my first actual play ever in January of last year, so it's a little over a year for actual plays. Yeah, it's been a really wild ride. Lots of work has been done in a very small amount of time, which isn't unusual for me, but when it's your day job, it just feels like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, you know? Mm-hmm. You might have seen me in Deadlands over on Valor Studios channel. You might have seen me on Dead Planet, which was on Todd's channel, or Monster Hunters Club. That was my first GM'd stream that I did. So please feel free to watch those if you're interested. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. We are trying to, so the Rainbow Roll. I don't want to just talk forever. This is your show. I'm just over here let me tell you about my things.
That's why we brought you here.
Right.
Okay.
You're here to talk about.
Okay, we can give some structure. So
we don't do that here.
I mean, on occasion.
Sometimes.
We try.
So tell us about Rainbow Roll. Tell us about the genesis of it. What is it, and what we can look forward to?
So, I am a queer creator. I am someone who feels the identity that I have is my pronouns are she, they, and I am a non-binary person of color and a non-binary woman. And I wanted to do something special for Pride. In my journeys in the TTRPG space, I have met so many phenomenal people, from other people who are LGBTQIA+ like me, all the way to, you know, some really phenomenal allies. And it's a surprising haven. It's surprising but unsurprising of a haven for people who are from marginalized backgrounds. TTRPGs are a space where you can be whoever you want to be, right? And sometimes that's like who you should be. Sometimes that's trying on an identity or a personality that you might think improves upon what you were born with or is more true to who you are inside. And sometimes it's just, you know, I'm really nice all the time. It would be nice to play a bad guy. It would be nice to be a villain. It would be nice to be a little shitty and just see what it's like to live on the other side of things. So I know a lot of queer people who play TTRPGs, a lot of people of color, a lot of women are now starting to play TTRPGs, as well as neurodiverse people and differently abled people. So it's just something that's like wonderful. And knowing that June is Pride Month and I love going big for Pride, I was like, well, I love TTRPGs and I love Pride and being queer. So how do I make those two things go together? And 2 years ago, I actually backed the Kickstarter campaign for Thirsty Sword Lesbians. That's the book. It's beautiful. It's written by April Kit Walsh. And I took one look at this and I was like, well, obviously. That was before I was streaming or anything. I was like, I don't know who's going to play it with me. I'm just going to figure it out. So I bought it and it arrived during the pandemic. And I was like, when? Maybe right after 2020. I can't remember. But I was talking to Todd and he was like, you know, it'd be really great, you know, to like do something with you. Or what are you thinking? And I was like, well, you know, I have this game Monster Hunters Club I'm thinking about. He's like, okay. And that went really well. And like, while we were in the prep stages of Monster Hunters Club, he's like, well, what's next? Like, what's after that? Like, what are we doing next? And I was like, well, I want to do something for Pride. And he was like, well, I'm an ally. I'd like to do something for Pride. And Kay was like, I want to do something for Pride. And like, here we are. So we were like, we should do Thirsty Sword Lesbians. That's going to be really fun. It'll be really great. It'll be really exciting. We'll get people to donate. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that it was going to be the Trevor Project as the beneficiary of this campaign. All three of us find mental health to be something that's really, really important. It's invaluable to take care of yourself and to hopefully take care of others too. And I think that that importance kind of drove us straight to the Trevor Project, as they are, you know, a charity, a nonprofit that basically helps kids who are LGBTQIA+ live healthier, fuller, and more beautiful lives in a world that, quite frankly, right now seems to sort of hate them. Now, especially more than I think, you know, ever, especially because we have all these metrics and all this data now, with younger people using the internet and things like that to really describe and talk about their emotions and their experiences. I think that we know that this is a place that needs a lot more love and a lot more attention, right? This sector of kids that are queer and different. I mean, many of us have our own, you know, different coming out stories. I'm somebody who, like, my coming out story is super duper boring. It's funny, but it's boring. And my parents kind of readily accepted me. Like, I'm very lucky. And I know that's not most experiences. So rather than just kind of sit with, well, it was fine for me, I'm like, well, it needs to be fine for everybody. Or as fine as it can be. And if it's not fine for somebody, you know, if you guys want to come, I hope you do. You can donate your hard-earned dollars, but you can also donate your time. I'm actually thinking about doing that in the next couple of months or so. I think you do either, I can't remember if it's a monthly, like a monthly requirement or an annual requirement, but basically it's like once a week for 2 to 3 hours, you man the hotlines for the Trevor Project and talk to kids that are in need and things like that. And they have counselors on their end as well, but they also accept volunteers. And it's just such a worthy cause that it's hard to like not get excited with the slate that we've got, because hot dog, we've got some heavy hitters.
And so I was really excited that Candace and Todd asked me to come on and help with some of this, because I've done some charity fundraisers before. In fact, the reason my fun Rainbow Fan is back there is that was Pride last year. I got to take part in Team Liquid's charity stream. And like we had a problem with the stream that was the best kind of problem to have, and that we sent so many people to the Trevor Project's donate page that we crashed it.
Great problem to have, though.
Great problem to have. And that was with like one stream. So I'm so hopeful that we can replicate some of that success and really help, you know, improve the lives of some people this Pride. But as Candace said before, donating your hard-earned money is great if you can do it. Sometimes you don't have that to give. I think most of us in this space have been where we didn't have $5 to give.
Yep. Yep.
And honestly, like retweeting, sharing, telling people, helping build that hype, hanging out in chat, being a person in that, just being a person in chat active enough to raise that view will help, because
absolutely,
this is totally grassroots. I'll let you talk about some of our amazing players, Candace, but
oh my god, too many.
This is all reach out and work with us. We don't have a front page space secured. We are just trying really hard because we're passionate about it.
That's it.
So anything you can do to help get more eyeballs on it, raise the algorithm, is gonna really help kids in need. And sometimes just seeing a queer story or a queer character that kind of reflects your own self when you're not in a space where you can openly talk about it, or you're not in a place where that kind of thing is accepted, can really make a big difference. So, Candace.
Actually, before the stream, we talked about how formative characters can be in our youth, and the lasting impact they can have on us as a person. So imagine being LGBTQ and trying to figure that out about yourself, or figure out anything about yourself that isn't normal, you know, or isn't mainstream. And then seeing a representation of that in the media that you consume, that is not a caricature, that is not a gross stereotype, that is someone cool and engaging that you can really like hang your hat on. That was one of the things from, Kay and I have spoken about the X-Men many times on the stream, and growing up, a lot of people, like, you ask everybody, who their favorite DC hero is, and you're going to get a lot of similar answers. But you ask everyone who their favorite X-Men is, and you're going to get just so many different X-Men, because everybody has a different way.
There's an identity.
This character speaks to me in a visceral way.
Yeah, seeing Storm was like, I mean, that changed my life. I remember, I think I was maybe 7 or 8 watching OG X-Men, like the cartoon
series.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god. Like, it would, like, my mom is a very big fan of inclusivity and things like that, and diversity, right? So growing up, I grew up in a household where, my biological father is black, his partner is black. Yes, I love Nightcrawler. I have a Mystique right over there, and a Storm. I grew up very kind of like, my mom was like, you need to understand, like, the world that you're going to be living in, and the role that you might end up having to play because of the things that you like. Because my mom growing up liked, Alan Parsons Project and Fleetwood Mac. Like, people were like, what do you mean you don't listen to Sugar Hill Gang? And she's like, I listen to them too, though. Like, I listen to all of it, And so she was like, she saw me with my Green Day posters up at 10 years old and was like, listen, you might have a hard time in life. Let's talk about you. So that you can polish up who you are and understand the world around you. So, like, I remember, like, she would make me a snack. I'd go upstairs, change into, like, house clothes or whatever, like, like, take off my school stuff for the day, and come downstairs. And before I did my homework, I was allowed to have, like, a snack and kind of just, like, chill for a second. So I would always, like, hear, like, different theme songs, like, up in my room as I'm, like, changing to come downstairs, like, to have my little, like, after-school snack. And the X-Men theme song was definitely one that, like, rang out in my house all the time. Storm has just always been such like goals for me, man. Like no one is cooler than Storm, and like I dare you to fight me. Like I dare you to fight me on it. Like I will go to my death for some Storm. Okay,
Right.
I do not care. I will do whatever it takes.
And we have had this conversation on this talk show before, and I will continue to yell it forever. I am waiting for canon in the comics to canon have ethnic hair. Give
Yes, please.
Storm that mohawk
Come on.
in like in
Yes.
twists or braids or something. Give her a protected hairstyle.
If you want to see some beautiful representations of Storm, my friend Sophie Campbell is just a spectacular artist. She has worked on her own series with Oni Press. She did Glory with IDW. Right now, she's actually doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She's actually done a bunch of that, a ton of that. She went from a fan artist who had her own, kind of small comic series to being like the official artist for this property that she's been drawing forever. She did the reboot of Gem as well, Gem and the Holograms.
Love it.
They saw her illustrations and were like, maybe we should give you a try at some Gem and the Holograms. And they gave her the comic to do. So she's super amazing. And like her Storm illustrations are so phenomenal. I think there's like one where he does show Storm with straight hair just because but it's like Mohawk Storm. So like
Right.
to me, you have straight hair and you're Mohawk Storm. Like I'm not going to complain. And then lots of like cute like Afro Puff Storm and like just like big Afro Storm and just beautiful. Yeah, I'm a big fan of visibility and diversity in pop culture. That's something that I'm super duper passionate about. It's something I'm passionate about as a GM as well and a player in
I
games.
realized I'm wearing an X-Men shirt today too. It's just a very
Oh my God, it's
stylized
so
Kitty
cute!
Pryde Lockheed.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Kitty Pryde is excellent. So yeah, I could talk to you about diversity in cartoons all day though, if that's a conversation you're
Right.
interested in having.
Well, today we're focused on the Rainbow Rolls. So you've
Yes.
got, I don't know, if you're in the TTRPG space, you might have heard of maybe one or two. I mean,
Everybody's just
I'm not that excited
Awesome.
about our cast. I'm so excited
Ooh-wee.
about our cast.
I think everybody that sees the flyer is like, "Whoa!" You know, like an old-fashioned Kramer reaction. What? You know.
I
So
have to
for
say, I
table
went-
one, yeah.
Go-
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was at a picnic yesterday and I was talking to someone who like doesn't follow streams, is not into plays Pathfinder, right? Plays these things around a table with friends. And he's of Asian descent. And I showed him, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm working on. And he's like, this is such a diverse cast. I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'm dumb excited, really. And I'm really thrilled because I feel like
Hold on, you're breaking up for us. I
feel like
Did your mic just switch over? Maybe? Or is your Wi-Fi being...
right now?
It sounds like you're very far away from your mic. Like, very, very
Unplug your headphones and plug them back in.
It is not the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show without an audio issue of some kind. Oh. I can see your mouth moving.
Can't hear at all.
Your gorgeous face is doing a thing, but the sound is not.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Got
There
Sorry.
you go.
I have a loose cord somewhere in this
It
vicinity.
happens.
Don't we all?
Very still. So, what was I talking about? I'm gonna be that girl now.
Our cast.
Yes. Okay. So our cast is tremendously diverse, which is what we really wanted. I think that I'm just going to start by saying I don't mean anything by this. This is not any kind of criticism whatsoever of the space because I understand why it's like this, right? I feel like the TTRPG community can sometimes be very insular because you have to expend an incredible amount of emotion and trust when you really pull up to a table. Like when you really want to game with somebody, like you really have to like come from your heart. So you're meeting somebody for the first time, and in 4 hours you might be, crying together over a fallen, brother or sister or comrade. You know what I mean? Like you just never know what's going to happen at the table. And if you want to like
and writing into the sunset across,
yes,
under the arch.
Beauty, pure beauty. You see what I'm saying? With a stranger that you've now like had this whole experience with. And like these aren't like small experiences. These are experiences that you're going to remember like literally for the rest of your life. Some of which because they're online and everyone can watch them. So I think that the reason that TTRPG tends to be insular is because, again, there's a lot of trust that goes into bringing yourself to a table. And you don't always have that like kismet, right? Of landing it the first time, right? Something that like, I mean, props to Todd Moonbounce because he's someone who's very good at casting. And I tried to kind of like channel like his vibe when casting the Rainbow role, but he's really good at kind of like intuitively knowing who's going to vibe well at the table and casting appropriately, right? And that makes such a huge difference because then you already have this built-in kind of melange of like flavor at your table. Like when we went into Dead Planet, I had never met Kay before. It was my very first time meeting Kay or Jen, Youngles. And I was like, I don't know what to expect from these people. It might not be amazing. Like they might have a completely different vision for this game. Like I might not agree with what they like. Like what if it doesn't work out? Like I was super stressed out about it. And then like the first time we met, I was like, this is great. Good job. Excellent.
Like, also, that's something that's really easy to lose through a bad experience. Because, like, I'm generally happy to jump into any game with anyone. I can vibe with most people, you know, without a problem. But definitely, I've had a couple bad experiences where it took me a while after those, and I started being like, oh no, I've got to really, like, curate what I do more. I've got to pay more attention to, but also, like, as a person who supports diversity and who wants to, like, you have to decide as a white person, like, what roles do I not take because I want to make sure, but also you have to look around and say, okay, my being a woman in the space is good, but is it good or bad that I'm the only woman at the table? And it certainly becomes, it's probably not a good thing if I'm the only woman at the table and I'm also, everyone else is white, right? Like, so you, there's a whole lot to balance when you're deciding what games to agree to.
Yeah, because no one is a monolith, right? Just because you're a lesbian doesn't mean you're like every other lesbian. Just because you are straight doesn't mean you're like every other straight person. Just because you're black doesn't mean that, you're gonna like certain things and dislike certain things. Like, that's not real, right? That's nonsense. Everybody, literally to each their own. Everybody has different standards and different understandings of what's okay and what's not okay. So the politics of that are already complicated enough day to day, but then you're bringing in emotions, you're bringing in role play and improv, right? Somebody might say something that's horrendous to you at the table, you don't know. So like there's a lot that goes into kind of making that decision. So, it wasn't super easy at first because we put out our casting announcement, right? And we got people that we already know, right? We got people that we love and we've played with before and like that are really just dynamos, right? We couldn't pick, every single person that we knew, but we got a lot of applicants that were just like solid people that we are familiar with, right? But then, we realized like you're about to put on this presentation with the same faces, right? Many of whom, aren't necessarily people of color, or if they are people of color, like you don't want to feel like you're just tokenizing them and using them over and over and over again because they fill the requirement or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. And as a woman of color, like I wanted to play with more diverse people as well. So, after we kind of put out our, dipped our toes into the proverbial casting pond, right? We were like, okay, well, how do we go about finding other people to game with? Like, we want to open this up. There's nothing wrong with having that insular nature to your table, because again, like, you're going to get great content. That it's going to be, that it's going to be quality. It's going to be good every time. Everyone's already going to get along. You've got built-in connections, but it's really important to also kind of see what's going on outside your little bubble, and I've been really bad at Twitter for a long time, and I think it's because I never had like purpose. I would just go on there because it's Twitter and you're supposed to go on there. I feel like Twitter is best when you have a thing that you like that you can use Twitter for. So like not politics, because you'll probably just curl up and die.
That's the way of madness.
Don't do that. That's what I tried doing. It did not work out for me. I was like, fuck Twitter. I don't know how anyone uses this. And now I'm on TTRPG Twitter and I'm like, oh, this is how people use it. I can find out what other people are doing and talk to people. And in my instance, be a gigantic stan of a bunch of really cool people across the interwebs. So as we started kind of like reaching out kind of past, you know, where we were past this comfort zone that we were kind of stuck in, that led to more people answering our casting announcement, right? That we had never even, we'd never even seen before. We'd never heard of them. We didn't know what they were doing, right? There were people that, you know, we had seen before online. I'm a big fan of this, right? Whenever I see someone who looks cool and interesting and that I'm like, we could be friends, right? Whenever I see someone rad, I'm just like, follow. Who knows what'll happen? But like what happened was I went through my list of people that I was following and I was like, so all of these people are mad cool. I wonder if they'd want to game with me. And that sounds like really simplistic, right? But that's literally what happened. And they were like, yeah, you seem cool and fun, and I'd like to game with different people. I would love to game with you in this event. I'd love to donate my time. And there was so much like elation and like just, I was very verklempt that all these people were just like, yeah, I totally have the same beliefs as you, I have the same feeling as you. I want to do this for a cause, and I want to meet new people, and like everybody was on the same page. And now we've got 4 just goddamn-tastic tables. Like just every table is a killer. Like every table is a killer. Some of them have like, you know, people that are a little bit more well-known. Some of them are more up-and-comers, right? Some of them are a mix, honestly. A lot of our tables are like a really nice mix of people who are up-and-coming and people who have already kind of made a splash in the industry. But like, it's just so exciting because you never know what kind of story you're going to get when you have that combination of people, right? Like for example, in Dead Planet. I mean, in Dead Planet, if you had asked me the first day, right, session 1 of Dead Planet, if you had asked me, who do you think that your character is going to be the closest to by the time this game is over, right? Who do you think, who's going to have the biggest growth and the biggest, you know, the biggest kind of, you know, lesson to learn in this? I wouldn't have said Petty, and I certainly wouldn't have said that Petty was going to be anywhere near close to Kai. Please, never. Session 1, I was like, I might not ever even call Kai. But
yeah. Session 0, she's like, nah, she's not.
No.
Robot. Nah.
No.
And I'm like, that's cool.
Creepy.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it takes not just, you know, I mean, not just anybody could have convinced my character to like give a shit about them, right? But through, you know, dice, because it's not just about the dice rolls, it's also what you do with them. You know what I mean? What you do with your failures as well as your successes. And what Kay did was just so brilliant that my character was just like in awe of them. My character was like, this is not just a robot. This is a member of the Coley family. And I need to see this person as someone who is also in my charge because the Coleys are in my charge. So like that transformation couldn't have happened without those elements of trust. So I'm so excited to kind of like build these like mini, I don't know, love contracts with the people at our table because they're just awesome. Every single person is just aces.
And I'm not gonna like what we did with Petty and Kai over 10 episodes or 8 episodes was a lot. Mm-hmm. But you can do a lot in a like if you watched and I'm not going to spoil, but if you watched the Backroads one shot that you and I did with Todd's, the character Beans did something that like I was like, oh, it's gonna get spicy. And like it was so much fun to be like, when am I gonna bring it? How long are we? When's the right time to like let this? And those one shots when you know it's like this concentrated thing, so you can really go all out because you don't have to drag out that tension. I think it's gonna be so much fun. So we have talked about this cast. I interrupted you when you tried to tell us the tables. So let's drum roll and let's go like table 1 setting or theme.
Okay. Yeah. So table 1. It's going to be me as your friendly neighborhood GM. Then I've got Princess Calamity. I've got Aldermancy. I've got, also known as Sword Ghost. I have the Lizard Librarian. And I also, last but not least, I also have the Hype Goblin, Sarah, who's going to be at the table. Please check all of them out because they are fantastic humans and they make great content. Each one of them is just different and amazing.
I had the great honor of playing a game with the Hype Goblin because of Saucefire. Saucefire who's hanging out in chat, did the Mercy Road charity 24-hour D&D charity stream.
Yes.
And I got to play game 1 with the Hype Goblin, and she's delightful. Delightful. That game is going to be so much fun to watch. I can't wait.
I'm so thrilled.
And remind me, you probably said my brain. What's the theme of that one again?
So the theme of that one is actually a Victorian kind of send-up that is kind of in celebration of the new season of Gentleman Jack that just dropped on HBO Max. If you haven't seen Gentleman Jack, you should. Don't waste any time because it is just a delight. And so basically it's set in Victorian England in, I think, 1830, I believe. The players are all new in town and are having a hard time making friends. One day, a mysterious stranger drops off a letter inviting them to the Thunderhearts Sewing Circle that's over at Lister Manor. And that is like a women's club, kind of one of those old-fashioned, like, that's where the ladies go when the men are doing things, kind of locations. But it's Thirsty Sword Lesbians, so that's not what it is inside. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to, like, ruin the surprise. But trust me, hijinks will be had. If you don't know about Thirsty Sword Lesbians, it is a system that is based on the Powered by the Apocalypse rule set, and it basically allows players to play as primarily Thirsty Sword Lesbians. You do not have to have a sword. You can have another weapon if you like, or you can be a pacifist if you like. You can be a magical girl and have spells if you like. And then you also don't have to be a lesbian. If you are asexual, you are more than welcome at the table. The whole point is that you are playing as someone who is a marginalized person who is operating within this world that is entirely catered to you. So if you are somebody who is LGBTQIA+, it is an exciting and exceptionally fun game to play because it's so validating. And part of what your character does, right? It's not just fighting like Dungeons and Dragons, lots of combat, things like that. This is about solving your problems with swords as well as words, because you can flirt. And you can flirt with anybody you want. You are encouraged to flirt and to be extra sweet and adorable and get strings, which are kind of influence over other characters, whether they are player characters or non-player characters at the table. So definitely expect some great English accents. Definitely expect some smooching, some hand-holding, some ankle-gazing, because it's Victorian era, and lifting up your skirt. That's a lot.
A little extreme.
No, the hand-holding, it's intense.
Yeah, it's ooh. That's
so
a space I've never been to.
I feel like Thirsty Sword Lesbians is like a more positive visual novel without the video game part.
And Thirsty Sword Lesbians do not lose their power if they have a drink of water. Thirst begets more thirst, and with great thirst comes great responsibility. So.
That's right. Kay knows. So then, week two, you guys. So week 2, this is the second. This is Tuesday night, every Tuesday in June, at 8 p.m. on Twitch.tv /Todd Moonbounce, all one word, obviously. And the second week is going to be June 14th. We are going to be having a guest GM. Connie Chang from Transplanar is going to be GMing Thirsty Sword Lesbians for us, and I am just floored. So they're amazing. If you don't know, they are a just stellar GM who just dives right into the description and like really just owns the table. It's just fantastic. And they are going to be walking me. I'm going to be a player. They're going to be walking myself, Kay, Jen Mack, aka Youngles, and Naomi Kyle through a wonderful world that I believe is going to be set in a high fantasy environment.
And if you feel like you might know the name Naomi Kyle, she hosted Star Trek Day. She's on G4. She's amazing. And my birthday is the 18th, so this is like Candace's birthday present to me. She's letting me play at this amazing table with this amazing game with this amazing GM and these amazing people. And I'm so excited. Just
nuts, really. And then so I'm halfway through the event, right? And everyone's like, ooh, ah. And that's when I get to go, but wait, there's more. So then week 3, the 21st, I don't know how, I blacked out and just suddenly found that somehow we had gotten April Kit Walsh to GM our third session. Just the creator of the book. No big deal. Not, small stuff. Not dying or freaking out at all.
Right.
Anyway.
It's totally chill.
So April Kit Walsh is going to be guest GMing our third table. I am also going to be a player since I am hosting the event. We are going to have Maddie Matihi, also known as Piper, at that table. We are going to have Katie Osaurus, who is just like a renowned sex educator and just icon. We are going to have the just splendiferous B Zelda. Just fantastic, right? Their role play is just, out of this world, into the stars, into the unknown. So just again, fantastic. It's me, Tihi, B, Katie, and April, and that's. Not a
big deal. Not a big deal.
I don't even know how I'm coming back for week 4, to be honest with you. I might not. You might need to guess
week
GM.
4. You're saying there's more?
Oh my god. So if I'm still alive after all of this awesomeness, which who knows?
If your soul does not just depart your body.
I probably will. I might be GMing from the Great Beyond. That's fine. That's in this season. We've all seen Moon Knight. So yeah, I'm going to be GMing the final week 4, and I have the pleasure of having Jade Valkyrie at my table, the mini Arcanist Kaz, Carrie frickin' Smith, and Cassie Mothwin at my table for week 4. Guys.
And you should be impressed because Carrie's in chat right now. So say
oh my
hi.
goodness! Hello, Carrie. It's nice to see you. It'll be nicer to see you later. Oh, I forgot. So April Kit Walsh, her theme that she's running for week 3 is the overarching umbrella of theme here that ties all of these games together is Pride. I wanted to talk about Pride because how we celebrate Pride is different for all of us. Not everybody, goes to a parade. Not everybody's able to go to a parade. Some people want to just kind of celebrate Pride from home. Some people, play TTRPGs like we do. Some people do concerts, which I'm probably going to do. There's a lot of ways to be proud of who you are, whether that is as someone who is LGBTQIA or somebody who's an ally. And there's nothing wrong with embracing that inclusive spirit. Oh, what a fantastic fan. Yes, please.
Right?
So what you're saying is we need Thirsty Sword Lesbian fans, is what you're saying?
Thirsty Sword Lesbian fans.
It's not too late.
Okay. All right. I'm going to see who I can get on that right away. Because that's a purposeful and useful gift, so.
And I did a thing to make mine stay in place, and so now it's not popping the way it's supposed to. But it's just so useful for the drama.
Oh, yes. So much drama. Yes. You might want to bring that to the table.
I will stop distracting. So yes.
No, not at all.
Every topic, the topic is Pride.
Yeah. So Pride, there's a whole bunch of different ways to celebrate, and that's kind of what we wanted to focus on. So we figured each week would be a different kind of Pride. So week 2 is High Fantasy Pride. Connie is going to decide what that looks like for us. And then week 3 is going to be Superhero Pride, but it's going to be set within the Stonewall kind of vibe of Pride, right? So a less commercial rainbow float Pride, and more of a throwing bottles and smooching sweaty people kind of Pride, with superheroes, which that's irresistible. Who can say no to that?
I'm so excited for that one.
I can't. And then the final week, right now, I believe it's going to be a medieval Pride. So I was thinking, my first game is called Thirsty Sword Lesbians, All Pride, No Prejudice. So I'm thinking that my fourth game might be called Thirsty Sword Lesbians and the Legend of the Holy Tale. So that's the working title at the moment.
I don't know if this is helpful, but they did just, this was an actual article that I read, they did just discover evidence that knights used hand grenades.
Yep.
So holding hand grenade
useful.
is actually kind of a thing. I will find the article
Yes.
and send it to you. I read it and said, I'm like, this is the best thing in my life today.
Yes, literal cannon fodder for me and my imagination. So yes. Yeah. handsome face.
This is
Oh my
Gilmore. For those
goodness.
who don't know, this is my little. This is my
He
little
knows he's
Christ.
handsome.
Oh, he knows.
Look at
he's
his
so
face.
handsome.
He knows it.
And he put his collar on for the first time today. It's a little magical bow
Oh
tie.
man.
He hates it. It scares
He
him.
hates it.
Yes,
You'll get used to it, buddy.
he will. He's already way better than he was like 2 hours ago. David, we've talked a lot. What questions do you have? What have we in our excitement talked around?
One thing that I want to circle back to is the insularity of the D&D space, or the tabletop space.
Sure.
And there's a flip side of that, where the first version of D&D came out when dude's wife suspected him of cheating with like the other men in his basement, which, you know, hot. But
That sounds very sexy to me. I don't know.
right. That was what,
Thirsty
79?
Sword Dudes Bands.
Into it. 10 out of 10 would watch.
Right.
Like,
The space still, like despite having this long tenure with dozens, if not hundreds of systems, including many systems I haven't even heard of yet, the space still feels really new. Like, I've run into people in video games and on the street and like chit-chatted with people, and they're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I do this to make money, and I'm bad at that, but I do this when I'm not making money. And they're like, oh, that's a thing? You could do that? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I would love to be, like, there's so many people that I've talked to who are not just interested in playing a tabletop game with people,
yeah.
but who are interested in playing them in more inclusive spaces,
Mhm.
and who are also interested in being performers.
Yeah.
And so, for anyone watching this, and tell all your friends, like, if someone says, hey, we want to play, there are all sorts of casting calls. We have a cast channel in our Discord. Tons of people are looking for more players. And the flip side of that, and another thing Candace said was, we have like a whole stable of great people. Kay and I have talked about casting quite a bit, because Kay is the person who goes, oh, this person will be a good fit, and then they come in and they're great.
Yeah.
To be fair, half the time when I cast, I'm like, these two will either be best friends or they will. It's like, that's how I do friendships. I'm like, these two people need to meet. They're basically the same person, so they're either going to be best friends or the world is going to implode with the world war that begins. I don't know. Let's find out. Either way, it sounds
Right.
Either way, great stream.
And what I found in all these castings and in growing our communities is there's now more pressure on me and on us to create more content, because, you know, you don't want to, you know, have 5 years of streams where it's the same 4 people all the time. Like, you want to grow your community and grow the people who are interested. Oh my god.
Thank you, Anonymous! Why do I feel like that's Jen? I don't know who it is. Thank you, Anonymous! Oh my goodness! Save it for the rainbow roll. Thank you! That is so nice. I am so grateful. Please, save it for the rainbow roll. Thank you. Rainbow roll. That is so kind of you. Continue, Dave.
And so I as a writer and as a creator, I feel even more pressure to churn out more content so that I can both make room for new players and make additional content for the people that we know are awesome to participate in. But as someone who spent a lot of time writing modules and working out the kinks of TTRPG actual plays, tell us about your process, because there are two things going on here.
Mhm.
One is the production of the whole shebang, all 4 weeks, and then the other is your construction and conception of individual modules for, if not all the weeks, at least 2 of the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
At least half.
So, yes, it's 50%. All I did was give the theme. I gave the theme, and then I made like a list of possible, like, potential, settings, like themes that could kind of ladder up to that pride kind of umbrella. And I was like, oh, I gave the GMs the opportunity to kind of just tell me what they were interested in. I was like, you don't have to choose these, but they really, really were each just attracted to, one of the ones that I supplied right away. But that's all that I did as far as involvement on the actual storyline. That's all up to the GM. So I'm going to be surprised when we're at the table too, which I'm thrilled about, because I love that. Yes, I gave the pride theme, but not like the specifics, which I'm like stoked about, because again, this whole thing was it's to celebrate how differently people can celebrate pride and what pride means to different people. So very, very excited, because that's definitely what I set out to do. The production side of it, so Todd is working behind the scenes right now. He was generous enough to give us kind of a run at his channel. We're kind of doing like a Moonbounce takeover, so to speak, because there are... So the rule that I had was no cis dudes at the table. And I recognized that could sound exclusionary, which is not my intention. I just wanted to create a space where the people that you don't see and hear from as often could come and tell their stories and feel safe. Not everybody feels safe with a straight cis man at the table, right? Some people have, past trauma. And again, when you're bringing emotions and you're bringing your mind and body and your heart and soul to a game, it can be very difficult if someone there either, is being, has some kind of animosity towards you, or even indifference, even just a basic lack of understanding of your experiences. When you're talking about something as tender, right, as, your character's story arc or a journey that you want to go on, or someone you want to express love to, right, which is what this game is really all about, right? Self-acceptance, things like that, accepting others. That's something that requires like the utmost care in dealing with, and not everybody is down with that. So I wanted to create an environment in the space where, women and non-binary people, whether they are, trans or cisgender, could chill together and tell the story and feel completely safe and feel at home and understand that everybody has their best interests and we're all kind of level set. Now, again, we're not a monolith. So part of my process is giving lines and veils, right? Right now, I'm actually sourcing lines and veils for my first table. My other 2 GMs have plans to do so as well for their tables. And then I'll move over into the fourth table as well, just to make sure that everybody knows what I do intend to have in the game and what I don't. And has the opportunity to add to that as well, right? Because everybody is going to have different lines that they don't want crossed. If you are somebody that is just horribly arachnophobic, or you grew up, and got bitten by, a cat and you hate cats now, right? Like, you're not going to want to see some giant cat girl bounding toward you, no matter how cute she is. You're not going to be into that. So I would like to know that ahead of time, so that I don't put you in a shitty position, and the rest of the table doesn't put each other in a bad position. So to me, that's one of the most important parts of this, is just making sure everyone feels comfortable. Something that I actually learned recently, and I'm a big fan of learning new things and trying to stay up on what people are discussing. Something that I've noticed kind of making its rounds on Twitter are people talking about the best practice of giving a full list of who is going to be at the table with someone before expecting them to sign on. That is something that I did not do. It didn't even occur to me to do that, because I was like, all of these people are great. All of these people are nice. All these people are professionals. I'm not going to have an issue, right? But that's not always going to be the case. Everybody has agreed to come on. Everybody's happy with their group. Everybody is, chilling and vibing in our Discord channels. But that was a potential situation that, if God forbid there were an issue, that we would have had to kind of work around. And in the future, it's absolutely going to be part of my process moving forward. Because I know what it's like to, for example, I, was assaulted in college by a boyfriend. I know what it's like to turn up somewhere and not realize that somebody that you just absolutely cannot see right now is standing right across from you. Like, that is the worst feeling in the world, especially when it's an event like this, where, again, you have to share. You're expected to, you know, come outside of yourself and, you know, reach deep inside for this character and make it a part of who you are. I'm so sorry, my cats are having a fight, if you can hear a lot of noise.
We cannot hear it, so you're good.
All right, great. So, yeah, so...
I'll add to that real quick, too.
Yeah.
You know, working in the gaming industry, we've had multiple waves of Me Too, and a lot of these, some of the most devastating ones have been people from marginalized backgrounds. And, you know, the further we get into this journey of understanding, like, the more we have to understand, like, diverse spaces have diverse abusers. And just because someone is from a marginalized background doesn't mean they can't also be capable of something not good. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's very important to be aware.
Yeah. And then, I mean, from the casting side, you know, like I said, like, I kind of took a look at who we had in front of us. There were some people who had applied that, like, didn't have a lot of experience, right? So when it became obvious to me that we were going to have kind of some bigger names that asked to participate, because there were some people who just kind of saw the announcement and were like, "Hey, do you mind?" And I was like, "Do we mind? You know, what are you talking about?" And then there were some people who, you know, just kind of applied like normal. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, I'm just going to send in my application." Like, I remember the day Jen applied, and I was like,
Right?
"Okay, thank you for
Glad
applying,
you
Jen."
filled out this Google form.
I mean,
No
I
idea
filled out
who
the
you
form.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm getting these, like, I'm looking through and I'm like, why is Kay's name on this list? Kay is making the event. I don't need to see Kay on the list.
Because
I mean, I
I'm
was
a
happy.
community manager, and when there is a thing that says, "Please fill this out if you want to participate," you fill it out!
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, when I had to, like, parse, like, get all those pieces together and, like,
It was
make
all
them, like,
there.
use
It
the
was really
spreadsheet,
easy,
it was
wasn't
all
it?
there. I admit that was lovely. So you did me a huge solid by filling out paperwork.
I'm a community
I'm just
manager.
saying, I didn't have to. I would have been fine if you didn't fill it up. But
One little thing about both casting and like the application process.
Mhm.
Everyone should follow Kay's lead in the, even if you're making a thing, you know, definitely jump through the hoops as well. Not just as a matter of solidarity, but like, we ran out of time, but Kay and I signed on to a much bigger project. Or no, Kay signed on to a much bigger project. But earlier this year, we talked about doing something for Pride. We're definitely working on something for Pride next year. We're working on other Halloween, or we are working on other holiday centric charity
Yay.
streams.
Yes.
And one of the things, like, there have been many times where I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna do this thing, but you know, I'm not going to be a player, or I'm not going to have this role because it's not appropriate for me to take up that space or take that space away from someone else." Like,
Mhm.
as a cishet guy, if I put together something like the Rainbow Roll, or when I put together something for Pride Month next year,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be sitting at that table because that's not my space.
Right.
And it's an important thing to remember that as an ally, sometimes the most important thing you can do is step back and let other people speak. And that's something that, especially, like, you know, as a man, that we should keep, you know, in the forefront of our minds, is advocate for people, not on top of them.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's something that's very difficult to do, especially like when you're very involved. Like, I was, you know, I am somebody who is a marginalized person, right? In quite a few different ways. But that doesn't mean that I'm not also an ally, right? Like, I also am an ally. Like, I'm not Asian. I'm an Asian ally. I am not Hispanic or Latin American or Latin. I'm an ally. Like, you know, I am not in a wheelchair. I would have to be an ally for somebody who is, right? Those are not experiences that I can understand. I can understand the marginalized part of it, right? I can understand the hardship, and the struggle and the triumph when things, like, go well, you know what I mean, as they should, because you're a goddamn person, right? I understand all of that, but I don't know what it is like to occupy that space, right? And to celebrate the way that they celebrate their events, or, you know, understand their culture on the level that they understand. I'm always going to have a third person kind of point of view. So it's not for me to like insist that my way is right. You know what I mean? It's not for me to question them. It's not for me to, you know, kind of like dig in. It's for me to kind of follow, you know, in situations like that, it's for me to follow. Like, I want to play Emerald Templars. They just had a phenomenal episode with an entirely Latin production, like behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, the cast, the GM, the authors of the book. Like, it was all Latin, and it was phenomenal, right? That's so cool. And I can, as somebody who, yes, am I adjacent to Latin people? Sure, Black people are absolutely adjacent to Latin people. We got a lot of concentric circles, right? But is that my culture? Was that something that I could feel like I could just pony up and like apply for it? No, you know, no, that's not my seat. That's not my table. Now, will I do everything I possibly can to promote that? Will I retweet until I'm blue in the face? Will I show up? Yes, right? Those are the ways that, you know, you can really kind of deliver and show up and be an ally, because sometimes, you know, using your platform for good is like the biggest, I mean, to David's point, it's the biggest thing that you can do, especially as somebody who is, for Pride Month, if you are cis, if you are straight, if you are male, right? There is a certain amount of privilege that you have, regardless of what the rest of your background looks like, right? So shining a light on other people that might be overlooked, to me, that's just being a good neighbor. You know what I mean? Allyship is just being a good neighbor, doing somebody a solid, right? Being chill to each other. Like, that's allyship in my mind. Is it that simple? No. Is it sometimes messy? Absolutely. Do we all make mistakes? I fucking have. Pardon my French. But, you know, I think that like it's a relationship that you can have with other people and with the world around you that just makes life so much more rich and makes you a better person because you're much more understanding. Like, for example, I'm not Jewish. Do I celebrate Hanukkah and make latkes every single year? Yes, I do. Ever since I was 6 and I made my first Jewish friend, and her mom came to school and taught everybody how to make latkes and about gelt, and now I get gelt in my Christmas stocking every year. Like, I've been to a bunch of bat and bar mitzvahs because my mom encouraged me to seek out other experiences and other types of people and try to understand them. You know what I mean? It just makes for a much more inclusive world, and it becomes that much more, it's that much easier to be inclusive at your table.
I'm going to loop back real quick to casting and how we did some of this. Because there's a couple really important points that I want to put out there. First off, if you don't think, like, and I'm pretty sure I'm preaching at the choir here. I think everyone, like, there's so many people hanging out in chat right now. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh!
You know, I think I'm preaching at the choir. I think everyone here understands that that diversity matters, representation matters, and I just want to circle back on that because it really does. If you're watching this on VOD and you're like a little questioning, like, I met a woman who I work with who is Black and amazing and, you know, not in her 20s and has never played D&D. And she was curious because we were talking about it at work and I was planning on doing some D&D stuff. And she's like, I've never played, but... And so I'm like, well, and she's like, I don't know how to start. I'm like, start by watching, right? Go find a cool stream. And I didn't send her to Critical Role. I sent her to Black Dice Society.
Awesome.
Number 1, because she likes horror. Number 2, I'm like, she came back and she's like, there are so many people of color on that cast. There are people who look like me playing.
Yes.
And I don't think her reaction would have been the same to Critical Role. I love Critical Role. But I recognize that there's a distinct lack of melanin on that show.
Yes.
Great actors, but, you know, there've been some problematic things that maybe didn't need to be so problematic. If they just had a couple more, I understand the reason it is how it is. They are making improvements that are slow, but it matters. And now I get to play. I get to run the first game for this wonderful woman who had never even thought of playing D&D, but she was so excited and she got comfortable enough watching it to learn the system that she's like, yes, I'll sit down with 4 other white people and play.
Yeah.
So
that's literally my story.
it matters. It really matters. And if you think, oh, well, my stream is small and it doesn't matter, we've had, just from Mothership, people ping us and be like, Mothership is amazing. Like, even though it was, I mean, Todd did a great job. The quality is amazing.
Fantastic.
We all worked really hard and interacted really well, and I'm really proud of the story we told. But it was also a small stream, and none of us are particularly big names in the TTRPG space. And if we're getting DMs, you might be the person who tells the story that impacts someone. And then, as Candace said before, we opened up a casting call, and we got amazing people whom we love, various levels of experience, and because it was charity, I was really pushing for us to maybe try and get a couple bigger names. I thought one or two. I won't say who this person was, but there was one person. Did I tell you the story, Candace? I don't know if I told you the story. I was so ashamed that I just
I don't know. I'm very excited though.
So one of these people I had worked with previously. The cast is amazing.
Thank you, Rich.
One of these people I had worked with previously, and we had chatted in a friendly way, and I thought, you know what? Why not? I'ma just reach out, and look, I'm a community manager, so I know how you slide into someone's DMs with a request, right? You put message, and then you put the link, and then you put the message. Like, you have to break it, because otherwise if you put the link in the message, all they will see is so-and-so sent a link. And that is scary, right? So
that's creepy. You don't know what that is.
So you got to do like, hey, I got a thing, and then here's the link, and then here's info about the link. So I do that, right? We're cool. I've spoken to this person before. We're professional-ish friends. Send the first part, drop the link to show the information about it, go to send the last half of it, and Twitter's like, you've been logged out, and you can't log back in until you change your password, because suspicious activity.
Suspicious activity?
Apparently I'd never sent this person a link, and they thought, because they're one of our bigger names, Twitter thought my account had been hacked, and I was trying to so I'm over here now going like, oh my god, this is someone I have a professional friendship with. I don't have their email address anymore, because I don't work at that place anymore.
Sure.
I don't want to @ them publicly, because, okay, if you're ever recruiting, don't @ people publicly and ask them to join your game. And just like if you're doing, especially charity games, like if you're like, hey, let's come back and do another. Will you all agree on air to come back and do another? Don't. No. Always say we'll talk about it off. I hope we'll try to make it work, but don't do. Like, I don't want to @ publicly. I'm also terrified that because Twitter suspects, it's in like that suspicious side thing that no one ever sees, and it will never be. And so I had a spiral for about 15 hours.
No.
Like, okay, what do I do? I don't want to do this. And within like 15 hours, they write back, oh, it sounds great. Here's my email address. Like, shoot me the thing here. And I'm like, oh, okay. But,
massive sigh of relief.
So we ended up reaching out to several of the people who were playing and asking for their involvement, which everyone was generous enough to take part, to agree to. And let me be very clear, no matter how cool your charity project is, no one owes you their time.
No.
No matter how cool your project is, it's not owed to you. So just keep that. Everyone who is willing to do it is volunteering their time, their energy. It is a gift, and you are not owed that. That said, so many people we reached out to were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you for reaching out. I can't wait to be involved. No one owes you their time. Round of applause.
That was, I think, the big moment for me, too, was like the excitement. Because, like, I was excited. I'm like writing to somebody that I think is awesome, and I've like been watching their RP, and I'm just like, oh, this person's so cool. Oh man. On my little computer.
Would you want to play Dungeons and Dragons with me?
Maybe. Maybe.
Right.
I'm just some person. Don't look into it. Just let me know if you have time.
Maybe you want to come on my channel after school.
Maybe. We could be friends, I guess.
What if our Thirsty Sword Lesbians kissed?
Oh my god.
Right.
Like,
right.
I feel like that's what like kind of just drives like the oh my god even deeper is knowing the type of game that this is, right? And like the personality that you can bring to your character in this system, like in this rule set. Like that's the part that just like
I'm having so much trouble picking which character I'm
Well,
gonna
there's
play.
just too many amazing
there's
ones.
There's too many, and there's so many fun things I could do with all of them, and I need to find out what everyone else at my table is doing so I can just take whatever they're doing and make it worse and better.
But not the Sun Witch. The Sun Hand. Not the Sun Hand, though.
That's a personal attack on me.
Right.
I'm so offended. For those of you who don't know, like, they have a description of each of them, and the Sun Hand is like, they try to impress people, like they feel like they need to prove themselves, so they bake all the time and try to impress people by their weird collection of random knowledge. And I'm like, April? What?
How dare you?
Kay sent me this description at like 6:01 in the morning and was like, I haven't had my coffee yet. Why would anyone do this to me?
Instantly offended. Yeah, I feel that. So the Sun Hand in the
I came here to
new.
have a good time, and I just feel so attacked.
If you have Thirsty Sword Lesbians and you're like, what do you mean Sun Hand? There, if you backed it on Kickstarter, they sent some add-ons. It was such a huge success on Kickstarter that they had a whole extra book of content and like games and playbooks and things like that that ended up being developed. So they sent that as a PDF only for original backers. So I have it in PDF. But then they were like, just kidding. If you want a print copy of this book, it's called Advanced Lovers and Lesbians, I believe. And if you want a print copy of this book, we're doing another Kickstarter. But it was like right around the holiday, and I had already told myself that I was not purchasing anything else for myself because it's holiday time and I have to stop being that person. So I had already cut myself off, and I was like a week into cutting myself off, and there had been a bunch of other really amazing stuff that was on sale that I didn't buy for myself. And then I saw that come up and I was just like, well, fuck.
Right.
So I phoned a friend, and I called my mom and I called my partner, and I was like, tell me I don't need this. And they were like, you can buy it when it comes out. And I was like, can I though? They were like, you can. And last night I did. So I will have a copy, hardcover copy of Advanced Lovers and Lesbians because
they're such cool
just
class.
love-
I wanna play it's a Gemini. It's the other one that's coming for me. It's two people who are two halves of the same character.
Yes, I'm looking at that
like,
one too. I'm like,
yeah, I am a Gemini. Like,
you live that experience.
I hate everything I love.
Yeah. And confirm.
David will absolutely confirm. It's a problem. And I'm like, what would it be like to share this torture with another person?
Yeah. Excellent.
But I feel like I need that for more than just a one-shot. I've got to torture someone for at least 4 sessions with that.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Some of these new archetypes, like these new playbooks, are so the first ones are kind of more I feel like utilitarian is too lowbrow of a word because it's still just fantastic, just characterization, just amazing.
They're an excellent use of they're an excellent twist on a pretty, and I don't want to say standard trope, but like a familiar tropes.
Agree. And it gives you that insight if you're kind of curious as to how your character is going to operate with a weapon, or how your character is going to, like, what their flirtation or romance style might be, right? If you're just like, it'll give you a lot of background, right, to kind of inform who you want to be. And it's just genius. But the original archetypes, the original playbooks are very, again, they're very, some of them are more common than others, but there aren't really any like crazy surprises, right? I think the wildest one is probably, I think it's called the Unusual Mischief Maker. I can't remember. It's the one with the mask, the strange, I think. Yeah. So that one is probably the most out of left field because it's somebody who's just like not sure. It's a person who like hides behind a mask so they don't have to deal with the outside world and they can allow the outside world to come to them. And it's a really
David, I see it. You know why I'm wanting to play that one.
Yeah, so I like that one. I like that one a lot. I think that there's like a huge potential for story in that. Especially because the mask doesn't have to stay on. You can be like Din Djarin and take that off anytime you want. So I feel like the new archetypes from Advanced Lovers and Lesbians, those are some next level. Like, Advanced is right, because there's a lot of like layers that go into these playbooks in the second draft here, that just make for even, I mean, I feel like it's impossible to get even more interesting and even richer of a gameplay experience, and yet here we are. So
I mean, look, as an asexual, I'm very concerned about having to be an advanced lesbian, but for you and for the Trevor Project, I will do my best.
Thank you, Kay. You don't have to be like...
I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be.
Kay's gonna show up with a textbook that says lesbians on the side. It's gonna have a bunch of handwritten notes inside.
I tried real hard in college. I can channel that energy again.
That's all. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a vibe.
Real hard.
So I actually have somebody who is interested in, and there might be multiple people. Only one person has specifically said this to me, but they want to have an ace storyline at the table. And like, my first instinct was to be like, oh fuck yeah, I would love that. Like, inclusivity is the name of the game. As somebody who for a long time felt like the word bisexual described me, until I was like, well, now there's this pansexual, and now there's this other thing that's queer, and there's this other thing that's, and I was like, you know what, queer is good. Queer is all of the things, and that's me. All of the things. So I was like, that's the one I'm going for. But bisexual for a long time was what I used to call myself, because that's what I understood, right? Like, men were beautiful, women were beautiful, everybody that was androgynous and in the middle was beautiful, and then all the shades radiating out therein were just fantastic. So it's kind of like an everyone kind of deal for me, as far as who I have crushes on. All of them, is my answer. So when somebody was like, hey, you know, can I bring this ace story to your table? I was like, please, because again, bisexuality, it's still very taboo if you're a man. If you're a woman, there's ways around it, right? People will be like, well, that's hot. You know, if you're a cute girl or a cute person, they'll be like, well, you're making out with like another woman or someone else who has boobs or another lady-shaped person, whatever, right? That's hot. But it's always like within the lens of, but then a guy comes, right? Like, it's never just like, I'm in a relationship, right? Like, relationship lesbians are like a whole other like mythos to some people, which I still don't understand. So bisexuals were very often left out of the conversation for many years because, you know, straight people were like, you just need to find the right man. And gay people were like, you're not really gay enough. And that was very hard for many years for many of us. And now that's starting to change, which is just fantastic. And just lovely. Polyamory is something that's now blossoming in relationship anarchy and new ways of being, and it's just lovely, right? It's the renaissance of gender and sexuality, and I am here for it.
Did you say relationship anarchy?
Yes.
I watched David peeing on that. I'm very excited.
Yes, relationship anarchy is operating in your relationship outside the norm. So that can be as little as like gender role modification in your relationship or a lack of attention to gender in your relationship. It can go all the way up to ethical non-monogamy, right? Dating other people while you have a husband or a wife or a spouse or a partner. It can be, you know, two women that love the same man, two men who love the same man, whatever. Anything that's not just your regular average relationship, which, like, there's nothing wrong with that. For some people, monogamy is all they need. They're happy for the rest of their lives with their one person, and it's beautiful. And that's lovely. I have no judgments. But I like that there's other ways in. Like, I like that there's...
As a person who's trying to quarantine 2 cats in 2 separate rooms, I don't know how people can maintain more than one. I don't... Thank you for the cheers! Insight check, cheering for relationship anarchy.
Thank you!
Yeah, like, as a person who was trying to quarantine and keep 2 cats in 2 separate rooms, I'm like, I couldn't maintain 2 relationships. I couldn't cheat. I couldn't maintain 2 relationships. This is exhausting. This is why I'm ace. Like, no, ace, A-row right here. This is too much. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Just when you said relationship anarchy, I immediately thought like bottles broken and wielded as weapons, popped balloons, torches, just Like The Purge, but wholesome.
So there's no rule against it being that. If that's what it is to you,
Noted.
you can have that. No one's gonna be like, "Oh no, you don't."
Okay. Well, if the
That's
warehouse district in LA catches on fire tonight, it was not me. It was someone else.
Panic at the relationship.
Love.
But yeah,
Yes.
I want to say too, so as a person who came out or figured out they were ace at a time when ace, like, I told Candace this, I think I've told you, David, when I finally started figuring out that I wasn't just waiting for the right person, I was ace, which took way longer than it should have. Especially, David laughed when I told him how long it took me to figure out what I was and wasn't into, because it's very obvious if you look at the signs. I actually came out at a time when a lot of the community was somewhat unaccepting of ace people. Not like, they're like, you don't really get discriminated against because you're ace. And I was like, at the time, I'm like,
Not true.
Okay, that I mean, okay, like I'd heard about gay bashing, because I'd never been bashed because. So I'm like, okay, fine, that's fair. And it took a long time for me to like work through a bunch of that. But at one point, someone told me, and they sent me a whole article so I could read about it, is when, way back when, ace people were considered part of the bisexual community because ace people are equally attracted to both sexes. Not
Correct.
at all. So they were considered part of the bi, and they would get like a bi godparent who would be like their queer parent. And so Jen, hearing this, volunteered to be my emotional support bisexual. And I think every ace should have an emotional support bisexual. That's all.
Yes. If anyone needs an emotional
David's
support
mind.
bisexual,
I
I'm
need
right
you all
here.
to look at the pinwheel going over David's forehead right now.
Yeah, that beach ball is going.
I love it. I love it. Because that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't. There's, and that's part of why I think I like have such an affinity for the Trevor Project as well. Because there's a lot of acceptance issues when you're dealing with like marginalized people, because you're dealing with a whole group of individuals that are in various stages of PTSD from being different in a world that is not kind to people who are different. So like, for example, when I was growing up, I was always told that I was too white by, the other black children that I would see, right? When my mom would drive into Philadelphia, into the city, and get her hair done, I'd be outside. I didn't know how to jump double dutch. I didn't know how to braid hair, and therefore I was useless. So,
David,
and I
you're
talked like
square
this.
up right now. I'm watching him.
Yeah. So like it was a very kind of rough time. Liking punk rock as a black child in 1997 is also not necessarily the most popular thing in the world. So lots of that, right? Lots of that in my life. And being bisexual is just like another weird thing for the only black girl in school, right? Like, you're already weird. You're already chunkier and curvier than everybody else because you have different genes and everyone's going through puberty, and your puberty apparently is bodacious for some reason. And like, I mean, it's just, and then you're like, oh, but I like girls. And there's nothing wrong with saying I like girls, because like, why would that be a bad thing? All dudes talk about is girls liking girls. So I like girls. That's great, right? And they're like, oh no, because like, that's different. Like, you like them. Like, you don't like them for like me. You like them for you. And I'm like, isn't that what's fun? No, apparently not. So for a long time, like, I asked myself, like, am I valid? Like, I asked myself every day, am I valid? And I think that that's a commonality across multiple marginalized people, right? I know people that are Hispanic, right? That don't speak Spanish, that are like, am I valid, right? People who like Jen, to use Jen as an example, right? She's very open with her background and her experience, right? She does not, to some people, look Asian enough. What does that mean? That's not real, right? She is Asian, so she's Asian. Like, it's not up for debate. It's not a conversation, right? And for me, something, especially in 2020, when, George Floyd was murdered, and we had this kind of like, the start to this reckoning that we are hopefully continuing because not enough has been done. I feel like that validity then started to kind of permeate white people as well, because as allies, they're like, am I valid, right? Other white people might look at you and be like, you can't say anything about the racist joke I just told. You're not that race. So what? You don't have to be. You can still say something, right? Because you're valid. and you are fighting for equality and fighting for justice and trying to like be a homie to somebody who isn't there to defend themselves, right? So I think that validity is something that a lot of people just really struggle with, and like it kills me when I hear like completely different stories but the same story over and over and over again about like I had a meltdown for a decade of my life because I wasn't sure if I was valid and everything was wrong and nothing was right and I missed out on all this time. Like I hear that all the time and it just... So I want to tell more ace stories. Like you can have Thirsty Sword Lesbians with ace people. Some ace people aren't aromantic. Some of them are aromantic but still like really like having friends. And what looks to an ace person who's aromantic riding off into the sunset might just be like you and your homie like hanging out smoking a blunt on the dock, and that's the end of your story, and that's good enough, that's valid, that's beautiful and wonderful, and we should all be so fucking lucky, you know?
Kai was also ace, and you can't tell me that Kai didn't form really I don't care if they're an android. They formed bonds and they cared and they loved. I will also say I'm playing a pansexual character in the podcast, and we've been pulling together playlists, and I had this weird realization of trying to pull together this playlist. I'm like, as an ace person, I've assigned a lot of like platonic meaning to a lot of these love songs, and I think people are going to be very confused when they listen. So it's going to be really interesting to see how people react to how they think this character is going to be, because I'm like, oh, this is... Half these songs are love songs, and they're not about romantic or sexual partners. They're about just people in their lives that they love. And now that I'm starting to dissect the way my brain works, oops.
Not at all. I think that that's what is beautiful about art, right? Is that it can mean so many different things to so many different people. Like, when I was a kid and I heard Your Song by Elton John, I was like, this is a really beautiful song. It wasn't until I was older that I was like, this is a song about a gay man singing to his husband about how beautiful his eyes are and how he can't remember the color, but the song is for him, and it's like deep and beautiful and like just lovely, right? And to me, same thing with Melissa Etheridge, realizing that Melissa Etheridge was a lesbian and was singing to a woman, right? Like that level of meaning before people knew that Melissa Etheridge, I mean, same thing with Freddie Mercury, right? Any queer artist, before someone knows that they are queer, they think that they're singing to somebody of the same sex, I mean, of the opposite sex, because that's just like the status quo, right? That's society.
Right.
But when you find that out, does that change the meaning for you? Or is the song still a love song that reminds you of your husband, even though it's written to be by a woman, to be sung to a woman? Like, the meaning doesn't go away, in my opinion. It's the exact same song, just different circumstances. So I am here for that, and I can't wait to hear your playlist. I love that.
It's not great, but my taste in music is not great. So it tells a story. It's one of those, David will confirm my taste in music is trash. It is. But it's also a list that like kind of tells the story of the character before you're actually going to know the story of the character, and if people can figure it out, it's going to be fun. It's going to be
okay.
Fun.
How trash though, David?
So, there are people out there where what they listen to is what plays on the radio.
Okay.
And that's a whole rant that I will not go on right now. Like I'm not gonna. But Kay isn't that person.
Okay.
Kay is like this weird stuff, this warbling that's happening that mimics sound, that mimics music. That's what I'm into. And so I would not describe Kay's taste in music as trash. I would say that it is eclectic.
What kind of warbling are we talking about? Because I've been known to enjoy a warble or two.
Well, I like a lot of. Okay, I like angsty music a lot, and I really like groups that do like lyrical songs where English is not their first language because they use language in such an interesting way.
Love, yep.
And yeah, just also like I love David
Bowie. Doesn't sound bad.
I love old school Pink. I don't like new school Pink. I like old school Pink.
Yeah.
You know, there's some fairly standard stuff, but like and then like there's some weird like I love 69 Eyes. I'm not saying they're good. I love 69 Eyes.
That's
I
okay,
love
though,
Entwine, but also I'm like, there's a healthy dose of Matchbox 20 in there. Not gonna lie.
Listen, Push is excellent and always will be. I dare someone to at me over it. We can throw down.
No.
I also like Live. So, just saying.
The first thing that Kay and I worked on, we're putting together. I don't know if it ended up being a short story or a screenplay, but it was this piece of fiction that we were working together, and I was helping her work through a lot of ideas that she had. And surprise, surprise, the only problem that Kay had was that it was much bigger than she had originally conceived. And she's like, oh, it's going to be this little thing. It's going to be like 20 pages. It'll be fine. And then I'm like, this is 1,600 pages worth of material. What do you mean 20 pages? Anyway, she sent me this song from...
It's Woodkid.
Yes. And...
From who?
Woodkid.
Okay. I've never
It's
heard
their-
of them.
Oh, you've heard the song. It was really popular for a while. Iron by
you
Woodkid.
you said it to me, I hadn't heard the song, so...
It was on anyhow.
Yeah.
It also stars
was
one of the most gorgeous human beings. They are beautifully androgynous, and I love them incredibly.
And when you first listen to it, if you're not paying attention, it doesn't sound like English. But it does have these like haunting vocals. And when you like listen to it again and really like get into it, then so much complexity starts to bear out in the song. And that's really representative of the stuff that Kay does, is like you could enjoy this on a surface level as is, or you can actually dig into it and like unpack all of the things that are happening, all of the moving parts, because there are a lot of moving parts. And that and like super angsty.
I am the monarch
Just-
of Edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is a beautiful way to describe what Kay listens to. I think that there's a lot of overlaps for me in music like that. Like there's a band called Gogol Bordello, which is not for everyone. They are a gypsy punk, self-named gypsy punk band. Eugene Hutz is the lead singer. He's Ukrainian. So they've actually been on tour. You might have seen them come to your town. But they have like in English and Ukrainian and sometimes Spanish and sometimes Russian and sometimes there's like Chinese lyrics, and sometimes because they have different people in their bands, they have a very kind of Romani-esque vibe to their music because that's how Eugene Hutz identifies. And I have been told by countless people that that's just some noise, just some crazy warbling, shouting nonsense. But it's great, and it will fill your spirit with joy and energy. Have you ever listened to the Decemberists?
I'm not.
So the Decemberists' new stuff is less angsty, I'd say, than their old stuff. They're a band that's kind of like a 5-person band. Sometimes there's more people in it. And they're from the Pacific Northwest. And their lead singer has what some people have called a crying seagull of a voice. He's got a very nasally kind of situation that's kind of a tenor, kind of higher pitched voice. But I fucking can't get enough. Like, I love it. And I highly recommend them. They have a song called The Mariner's Revenge that's a sea shanty before sea shanties were cool. And it is an epic tale of a man who is on a mission to kill the person that defrauded and estranged left his mother. So it's like a 6.5 minute song with accordions and
Wow.
it's just fancy. It's fanciful.
Richard is a fan.
At least, yeah. So definitely peek into the Decemberists if you're looking for some weird shit. I love the idea that you can tell how someone plays, how someone games through what they listen to. Like, David, you dropped that line and now I'm obsessed. And when you listen to the Decemberists, you'll go, no wonder Candace likes them, because
I'm
that's
that
my
song
zone.
I sent you about Turn These Tears to Gold, I found it for this playlist. Like,
So
as part of
good!
this. So good.
God
If you
damn, that
haven't heard
song.
Malik Gold, it is so good. However, we've been on the air for almost an hour and a half. We are here to talk about Rainbow Roll. We should probably wrap this up and let you get on with your very lovely evening, and we are so grateful that you spent our time with us, and we got to go super deep into... I'm now curious, like, actually, that's part of the reason I was pushing the cast to, like, make a playlist about their characters, is I think you learn a lot about a character through a playlist. And
You do.
I don't think I could have done one for Kai, because I don't listen to enough weird ethereal, like, but, yeah, I'm gonna have to, like, do this, like, oh, what do they like and how do they play? This is gonna be a new obsession of mine.
I made one for Petty, I just didn't publish it. So if you ever want a link, you know where to find it.
I'm gonna have to, yeah. So, let's do a very quick summary. Again, for those, we're kind of doing the sign-off. Chat, if you have any final questions about the Rainbow Roll, give us a summary, Candace. What is the Rainbow Roll? Remind us.
So the Rainbow Roll is an event that is being put on by myself, Kay, and Todd Moonbounce over on his Twitch channel. It's going to be every Tuesday in June at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah,
There's going to be... Sorry. Oh yeah, it's all 4 Tuesdays in June. So it's not today.
Yeah.
Because today is the 31st. Yes?
Today's the 31st.
Yes. So yeah, it's the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. And we are going to have me as the GM for games 1 and 4. And then for game 2, we're going to have Connie Chang of Transplanter. And then week 3, we're going to have April Kit Walsh, the creator and writer of Thirsty Sword Lesbians herself. We have an illustrious cast, just a ridiculous lineup. Please check all of our socials if you want to take a look. We have cast announcement there. Each session is going to be about 3 hours long with a break in the middle. You can donate to affect the story. You can give not raises, excuse me. You can give advantage in rolls to the entire table. You can give free re-rolls. You can spend $75 and get a sexy haiku, some of which were donated by our own full rubber ducky, David Lee, and they are spectacularly spicy. Some of them are very wholesome and sweet. We'll see which ones get read on the air. I can't make any promises that they're all going to be the wholesome ones. So, because that's not what I personally like. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. And we have a ton of we just have the most stacked deck in the world. And I am incredibly grateful that everybody has kind of banded together to make this happen. I am super thankful to my collaborators. My partner Jason was even able to get involved, which he's over the moon about because he's always offering, and I'm just like, we've got it. You've got other stuff. You're a freelance person. You got stuff going on. But this time he had time, and he did the layouts, the artwork for all of our casting announcements and our table announcements and things like that. So keep your eyes peeled on his stuff at Domo Jason. And yeah, I'm just pumped. Kay is going to be behind the scenes for every single episode because they're just fantastic and know what the fuck they're doing. And I would probably be lost. Okay. I would be lost. Oh my god.
And all of this is for charity, and what's it for?
It is for the Trevor Project. So if you want to make sure that LGBTQIA kids get the same healthcare, get the same love, the same affection, the same support, and live as beautiful of a life as they possibly can, just like straight kids do, please come. Donate, retweet. If you can't donate, that's fine. Just show up. Just being there with your eyes on it is more than enough for us. We'll shoot those numbers right up, maybe be, number 1 on Twitch that night. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It would be lovely. It's not a must as long as we are raising money for this incredible cause, because it's super important, especially in 2022 when there's just a lot happening to remove the rights of children that really need them.
And I am going to go ahead and we have all this up. If you are super inspired, the donation campaign has already begun. If you would like to seed the pot with re-rolls, if you are able to do that, you can do that starting right now.
Yep.
I believe, Candace, anything that's not used will roll over to the next table.
Yeah.
So you never know how far your donation will go to.
That's true.
And yeah, again, if you can donate, thank you so much. Even $1 helps. If you can't, Thank you for retweeting. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for interacting in chat. It gives performers so much energy. And,
yes, it does.
It will mean a whole lot. Like I said, Pride is June is my birthday month. I love Pride. So getting to work on this project with so many people whom I watch and admire, and with talented people like Todd and Candace and Jason making everything, I am over the moon. And David's had to listen to me squeal about, you won't believe who just came on.
There's gonna be a lot
raptor sounds.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shouting in my house as well.
Beautiful. So, Candace, thank you for your time. It is always
you for
a
having
joy
me.
to get to hang out with you. Your energy and your passion and your conviction and your moments of not giving a fuck are just everything I want in the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. You can usually see Candace hanging out in chat, and we don't have to read it. We can listen to her preach here today. You didn't shout preach once, though.
No, I was very well behaved.
That's cool.
Next time, though,
kind of like it.
you have me on again. I make no
Yeah,
guarantees.
next time you're gonna get out of line. I can't wait.
Yeah, I might be spicy depending on what the topic is.
We like the spice around here. So, for those of you who haven't guessed, the Rainbow Roll takes place on Tuesdays, which is when this is. We will be having these next month. It's probably just going to be David and I, and they're going to be shorter, probably only going to be about an hour, so I can, like, finish up here and then get ready to support the Rainbow Roll, because, you know, there's some behind-scenes stuff that needs to happen. So, thank you for your support. We will keep doing it through June. It's going to be a little bit shorter. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Candace, remind us who you are and where we can find you.
I'm Candace, also known as Candace the Magnificent. You can find me on Twitter and Discord at that Candace Girl, and then you can find me on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram at Candace the Magnificent, all one word. I do ice cream reviews on my Instagram channel. I will hopefully have one for Pride soon. I'm like super behind. I will also be trying to kind of just maximize my affiliate path. I'm trying to go affiliate on Twitch, so I gotta get in my hours and stuff. So I'm probably gonna do Thursdays, depending on what's going on. Thursdays I'll do like a late night video game stream of some queer stuff, because like why not. Then Friday will be some queer themed concerts. This Friday you can watch me do as many Steven Universe songs as I can play on my ukulele, so please come by.
And yes,
I promise you'll have fun. Yeah, so you can also find me on the Valor Studios channel. They're going to be launching Axion on June 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern, so please peep that, Valor with an E at the end. And then you can also find me on Todd's channel. Again, too much me on Todd's channel this month, I guess.
Never too much.
Thank you. I'll be playing Masks every other Sunday with Todd starting June 12th. And then I will also be on Community Cleric on Girls Run These Worlds on the 9th, which is next Thursday, 2 Thursdays from now, whatever, you understand. And then the following, on the 16th, I will be on Carrie Smith's channel doing some Outbreak Undead. And that's my month. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, you also
So what you're saying is you don't have enough to do.
Yeah, I also work, so I'm just gonna die, you know. End of the month, I'm just gonna like jump off a cliff. Somebody, Allison, Insight Check, was like, I would really like it if you would guest on, you know, a show of mine. So I was on their talk show last week, and it was lovely. I had a phenomenal time. But then they were like, oh, but maybe you want to do, you know, some jamming sometime. And I was just like, I can't even wrap my head around that. I feel like I'm just gonna, June 30th, I'm just gonna be the mummified remains of someone who looked like me.
I'm glad that you're like not pushing yourself too hard, and that you're practicing self-care and giving yourself rest and recovery and
normal
but
stuff.
That's what July is for.
That's it, a whole month, and then August is my birthday month. So I'm a Leo, so I get the entire month, you see, and probably part of July too, because like I'm a Leo.
Noted.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up like
you and Gilmore.
Yes, baby.
David.
It's my birthday season.
Yes, birthday season is a thing. David, tell us who you are, and are you doing anything to promote yet? I feel.
I am David Lee. You can find me at Full Rubber Ducky on Twitter, and business inquiries fullrubberducky@gmail.com. But Kay and I are in the trenches working on future content so that we can invite people on like Candace and see if they can make availability for us. But no, we're working on a lot of things that we're not quite ready to announce yet, but once we get through Pride Month, which is going to be very busy for all of us, then hopefully we will have more ready to talk about.
And,
so exciting.
I'm Kay. I do video game stuff professionally, which is a weird thing to say, but yeah, that's what I do during the day. And then when I'm not at work, I spend a lot of time talking about and thinking about and sometimes crying about TTRPG stuff because, yeah, characters. Gemini with characters, it's a problem.
Accurate.
Find me and David here every Tuesday for the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. We love this. If you have a topic that you want us to talk about, please, at both of us, one of us, hop in our Discord. Throw a paper airplane into Manhattan. I'm sure it'll hit me somehow. Like, just do the thing. We want to know what you want to hear about. And if you have someone you think we should have on, or if you want to be on, if you have a topic you want to talk about, please hit us up. Like, we do actually usually prepare for these, so figuring out cast lists and all that, topics, we love suggestions because it makes our job so much easier.
Right.
If the internet is kind enough to give us a really bad spicy take that we can get like real nitty gritty on, that makes it easier too. But that doesn't happen every week. So every Tuesday here, Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. Find me producing and one time starring in Rainbow Roll, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, on Tuesdays in June. I'm so excited. Candace has done so much work. Todd has done so much work. We have all recruited and made things pretty and contributed and plotted, and I can't wait. The first 4 Wednesdays in June, so from the 7th to the 22nd.
No, first. Starting tomorrow.
Yes, starting tomorrow. I looked at 4 p.m., not the 1st, because I'm having to look at my streaming schedule because I don't know how Candace keeps it all straight. I have to look at my starting. I was in the Strixhaven Fractal Convergence. This was a actual play that has been edited to make it super snappy and fun. There's lots of costuming, and it is set in a homebrew Strixhaven set 1,000 years after the school's current setting. Very fun, very wholesome, and I hope you all watch it. I hope you all enjoy it. I get to play Brandon. He's a himbo T-fork, and he's got a baby dragon. Yeah.
I've heard so much about this T-fork and the baby dragon. So much.
Oh.
Yeah. It's fun. And then starting on June 22nd, you can find me on the Emergency Power Network, playing a rather morally gray and physically gray Solarian in
Beautiful.
the Starfinder universe. So that's all we've got. Candace, thank you again. Everyone, please go follow Candace. Check out their ice cream reviews. Check out Rainbow Roll. Thank you for hanging out tonight. We hope we will see you for what's it called? We hope we will see you for our charity stream to benefit the Trevor Project. I need to wrap this up because I'm clearly losing my ability to verb. Thank you again. Chat, you were amazing. You have been so delightful, and I can't wait to see you over on Todd's channel for Rainbow Roll. So, bye y'all. Thank you again, Candace.
Bye. Thank you for having me.